It's a trade that didn't just shock the sports world, but the entire world, almost to a seismic activity here in Los Angeles. Karlo for ESPN Los Angeles, alongside Dr. Alan Beyer of the Hoag Orthopedic Institute with the road to recovery. And like everybody, Dr. B, we got to talk about Luka Doncic and the shocking Lakers Dallas Mavericks trade.
Well, the good news is you were shocked at the same time that LeBron and AD were shocked too. I mean, no, this was the best kept secret since I don't know what. I mean, this was a crazy one.
I mean, it's up there near like Area 51 in terms of top secrets that have been kept. But Doc, like I think that's what makes it more shocking that they didn't know either. Both Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis, and somebody who you feel like would always be a maestro in the situation in LeBron James. But one thing we do know is both parts of the trade. Anthony Davis, we are very familiar with his injury history, and now he's been shipped out to Dallas for them to deal with. Luka Doncic himself has an injury history that the Mavericks, frankly, did not want to deal with anymore, and instead were willing to give up on him and send him here to LA.
Which always, the skeptic in me always thinks one of two things. Do they know more than they're letting on? That's number one, because nobody knows better than those backroom people, the trainer and the team doctor and everybody else as to what's really going on. Although it's hard to believe that anybody could hide things like that because they trade MRI. When they trade players, they usually trade MRI scans and other stuff a few days before, and there's still a physical that the player has to pass in order for the trade to go through, which I assume has obviously happened here. And I think part of this is also, even though it's not being spoken about, I think part of this also is attitudinal. I think there was more going on in terms of culture with Dallas and Luka than we're finding out about yet. We'll find it out over time, but I think that there's more there than we know yet.
So let's get into it, Dr. B. Luka Doncic suffered a calf injury on Christmas Day. That was the last time we saw him on the court in a Dallas Mavericks uniform against the Minnesota Timberwolves. It is at the time of this taping, he's missed more than a month, almost
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
6 weeks
yes,
already.
6 weeks, and he is targeting potential game day of the Lakers Pacers, which is this Saturday, 1 o'clock game. Looking at the timeline, and of course, a lot of Lakers fans are excited to see Luka Doncic in a Laker jersey on the court with LeBron James for the first time. Is that 6 weeks an accurate timeline for somebody who has a calf strain in his left calf?
So, of course, and we've talked about muscle strains and things as opposed to ligaments in the past. Ligaments, for the most part, are either torn or not torn. Muscles have a grade of 1, 2, or 3 strain. One being, a stretch, maybe not too many fibers torn. Grade 2, maybe 50% of the muscle is torn. Grade 3 is a complete rupture. Clearly, he's not a grade 3. He's somewhere between a grade 1 to 2. I have not seen his MRI scan. I have not examined the usual disclaimer I'm going to give you now. I've not examined the player. I've not seen any studies or MRI scans, or am privy to any notes from any of the medical staff. Typically, 6 weeks is a reasonable expectation on rate of return for a player at the NBA level, considering it was a 1 to 2 grade sprain. Luka's a big boy. Luka carries around a few more pounds than the average guy who plays the whole basketball court. Typically, big men like him are mostly defensive guys and kind of jog down to the other end of the court. But Luka's not that player. Luka runs down to the other end of the court. He's a both ends of the court player, even though defense is not his strong suit. I think that being as big as he is, the old force equals mass times acceleration. There's more force on his calf than on a 220-pound guy's calf, or a Kevin Durant's calf, for instance. Somebody who's built lean like that, which might impede his return, might impede his endurance and his ability to be that full court player when he first comes back. It's certainly a great way for the Lakers to delay him playing for a week or two, to say he's still learning the system, and using that extra week or two for him to be used to the Lakers game. to get back out. Clearly, the real deadline, you want him back by February 25th, which is when Dallas plays the Lakers. So I think this is a golden opportunity for the Lakers to take an extra week or 10 days to get him up to speed on the Lakers playbook, the Lakers, um, schemes and everything else that a new player has to learn. It's not the same everywhere. And basically just say he's still further rehabilitating from his injury rather than putting him out there sooner just so the fans can see him before he's really up to speed. He'll be more effective if he has that extra week or so to learn the system, and get to know his fellow players a little bit better. So if I were the Lakers, I'd probably not rush it for this Saturday. That's only 2 days away.
Not to mention, Dr. Beyer, the All-Star break is coming up. So if they could buy him a week, the Lakers only have 1, 2, 3, 4 games to Monday, Wednesday. Oh, 3 games. Saturday, Monday, and Wednesday before
Right,
the All-Star break. So he could
right.
actually get more rest.
I think that would go a long way towards keeping them healthy for the remainder of the season and making that push for the playoffs. They're in pretty good shape here. They've had a good last 10 games. They were, I think 8-2 their last 10 games. So they've got a little bit of a cushion in terms of being in that top 8. If I were the Lakers, I would probably not have him play those 3 games. Give him that extra, gives him an extra 2.5 weeks, and let him be 100% when he comes back.
Yeah, Laker fans are chomping at the bit to see him. Hopefully, the Lakers maybe listen to you and try to hold him off and stretch him out a little bit. But, Doc, you also talk about his 270-pound frame, which is something that was definitely against the Mavericks' wishes. But his unique size and the way he plays, you talk about the force equals mass times acceleration. It's been the formula of Luka magic so far in his career. So to be able to say, hey, can he continue to do this for the rest of his career? He's 25 years old. He's still young, but come 5 years, now that he's a future cornerstone of the Lakers, when he's 30, can he continue to do this?
Well, again, this is going to go back to another talk that we've had plenty of times. Yes, he's 25, but he's already been playing 7 years in the NBA. He started at 18, not at 21 or 22 like a typical player who's gone through college.
And
So
his
he's got more like
pro-European career
LeBron.
with Real Madrid.
Exactly right. So like LeBron, he's only 25, but he has more miles on his odometer than the typical 25-year-old. So if his life expectancy, career expectancy is till he's 35, 38, or look at LeBron, 40, is it going to be somewhat negatively impacted by toting around the extra baggage? The thing that has been very, very interesting to me to see about him is he's not always been at 265, 270. He's been down as low as 250. He's fluctuated. He's got a 20-pound range there that he fluctuates in during the season, even. Most players, Kobe's critique of Shaq was always that he came back 20 pounds heavier than when the season was over, but he got it off quickly and he stayed down at the lower weight for the rest of the season. That's not been Luka's kind of program. He varies during the season from 250 to 265 or 70. I would think that anything that his team, his nutritionist, his therapist, his trainer, his everybody else can do to keep him at the 250 is a better way to go. Yeah, he gets in there and he muscles, but getting hit by 250 pounds is not that much different than getting hit by 265. But the toll that 265 takes on the hitter's body is greater than the 250. So I would like to see him stay a tad leaner. I think it can hurt, but we'll see if the Lakers can change that culture a little better than the Mavericks could.
Doc, I'm glad that you bring up his previous frame. I'll bring up this picture here on screen right now. Luka Doncic 5 years ago, the game that he talked about, Kobe trash talking him in Slovenian. I was taking pictures and videos of Luka addressing the Lakers crowd, signing autographs, and I look at it now. He is nowhere near that kind of thick frame that he has now. He's still a very slender NBA body. So yeah, I'm curious if he can revert to that from 5 years ago. But in those 5 years, he's had an injury history, and 3 times involving the strained calf. 2022 playoffs. He even missed playoff games with the calf injury. So knowing his history, knowing the weight that he carries, you're looking at an anticipated return date of Saturday. What are you looking for when he plays to really be assured that he is 100% and healthy?
Well, you got to, those pictures, by the way, remind me of Barry Bonds, the Pittsburgh Pirate, and Barry Bonds, the San Francisco Giant. Right? Unbelievable to think that it's almost if
Especially
it's
the
the
helmet size.
same player. The helmet. Well, I think there might have been a few substances that contributed to that too. In Barry Bonds' case, I'm not accusing Luka of that. Okay. Um, I think that I certainly would manage his minutes. He's not going to come back and play 40 minutes if he plays Saturday. As a matter, he won't know the team as well. He won't know the playbook as well. And more importantly, he's coming back from an injury that's kept him sidelined for 6 weeks. So I think if you see him Saturday, you're going to see him in a limited capacity, not on what his ultimate capacity and a full-time Laker position will be. So that's how you have to manage it. And you have to keep a very close eye on him. The training staff you've got to have a spy on the bench, basically, that just watches Luka to make sure he's not a little gimpy, a little slow getting up off the floor or getting down to the other end of the floor. You've got to watch those things very closely. And at the first sign of anything, you pull them out.
Lakers fans are really crossing their fingers, hoping for the best with this new roster after the trade deadline, the acquisition of not just Luka Doncic and now Mark Williams, but to make sure that those new additions are healthy for a chance, along with an aged LeBron James, make a true push for the championship and for the postseason. Dr. Beyer, thank you very much for walking us through Luka Doncic, the newest LA superstar, and taking a closer look at his left calf injury. Dr. V, what's coming up on Doc in the Dugout?
Well, this week we have the big game on Sunday. So I've got not an ex-NFLer, a current NFLer. Marcus Williams of the Baltimore Ravens will be my guest on Saturday. So we're going to talk about what it was like to play and see Lamar Jackson up close. Who does he like in the Lamar versus Josh Allen MVP race? And most important question I'm looking forward to ask him, which quarterback he feared playing against the most. Was it Joe Burrow? Was it Mahomes? Was it Josh Allen? I mean, I want to get some inside info from a safety as to who made him shiver the most when they were the QB.
He's going to have the best insight on that, just like you, Dr. V, on the Road to Recovery, presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. Thanks a lot, everybody, for tuning in.